I encourage women to invest in a coach.
Mm.
There are so many different coaches out there now. I'm a lifestyle coach, but I also do professional development coaching. For a while there, I was just doing lifestyle. So women who and men who wanted to quit drinking, and that's what I focused on. So
Yeah.
I encourage women to get a coach. Try
Yeah.
it for 3 months, once a week, get 12 sessions, and see what happens.
Welcome to the Visibility Strategies for Women Entrepreneurs podcast, where we empower female business owners to step boldly into the spotlight and claim the recognition they deserve. I'm your host, Tori Barker. I'm passionate about helping women like you transform your visibility into tangible business success. Each week on this show, we'll dive deep into game-changing strategies, share inspiring success stories from women who've mastered their visibility, and offer practical, actionable advice you can implement immediately. Whether you're just starting your entrepreneurial journey, pivoting your business model, or ready to elevate your existing presence to new heights, you'll discover effective approaches to create exciting opportunities and expand your reach. So let's harness the power of strategic visibility and grow your business together. Welcome to the show. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again on the podcast. Today, I am so excited to introduce you to my guest, Toni Will. Toni, how are you?
I'm good, Tori. How are you? It's so good to be here.
So good. I love it when we've had our kind of pre-call, we have the green room talk, we get warmed up, and we're all excited about the conversation to come. And so I'm really excited for you to tell the audience who you are and a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am, there's a lot of different facets to me, so I'll try and keep it as concise as I can. My day job, I'm the general manager of a men's AA professional hockey team in Kalamazoo, Michigan, called the Kalamazoo Wings. I have been here for 11 years now, and we've been in the community, which is my hometown in Kalamazoo, for 51 years.
Wow.
And so and I'm not in my 50s quite yet. So my entire life, this hockey team has been in this community, and it's really rich in heritage and community centric space for families to come and enjoy
Yeah.
sports and entertainment. And so to be at the helm of this for the last 11 years has been quite the honor. And then being a woman in this industry, I've done a lot of work in that space. So that's what I
Yeah.
do during the day. And then I have a 9 to 5 and then a 5 to 9 where I launched a lifestyle coaching business almost 5 years ago because I quit drinking and I wanted to help other people reduce or remove substances from their life and become the best versions of themselves. That
Yeah.
morphed into professional development coaching, which morphed into my own podcast, morphed into a conference called Empower Her, and then my book is coming out next summer. So so there's a lot happening in the world of Toni Will.
All amazing things. And I love the intersection of, your corporate job, your evening job, or whatever you want to call it. All of these things that you have going on are just such amazing dynamics to your journey, and they all complement each other. I think there's so many lessons that you learn from one and the other, and you pull it into the other, and really just make an impact for all the people that you're surrounded with. One thing I'd love for you to talk about in your journey is being a general manager of this professional hockey team as a woman, in this kind of male dominant role. How has your leadership role evolved with that
Yeah,
perspective?
it's interesting because when I first started in this role, I did not think of my gender as a part in this.
Yeah.
I was very naive. I did not see myself working in professional sports. I came into this job completely on accident. So really the first 2 or 3 years, my head was really down in the day-to-day learning this business and doing the work. And then part of my role as general manager, I'm the governor for the team on the league side. And so what
Mm.
that means is professional sports teams are governed like a board of directors, but we're called governors. And so I was the only female governor, and I looked up and there were alternate governors as well. And there were some women in there that were alternate governors. But I looked up in the room and I was like, oh my Lord, I want to do some work here. And then I would attend
Yeah.
sports conferences and all the speakers and panelists would be men. And I'm like, oh, no, no. Like there needs to be a woman's voice in the room. So I would say what's changed is one, I do a lot of advocacy.
Mm.
around women in sports. Like I speak up.
Yeah.
And I take a seat at the table, and then when I'm at the table, I have a voice at the table when it makes sense, in terms of I'm not just talking to talk.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it, understanding the importance of it, because I really do want to lift other women up, and I want them to be able to have access to do whatever job they want, regardless if men are the ones that normally do it or not. So I would say it's really just using my voice, but
Yeah.
also really listening and having different thoughts and
Mm.
different perspectives on how we do business is okay, because I will tell you, women think differently, and so
Absolutely.
that brings a nice diversity of thought to these conversations that we have, whether it's in the day to day or at the league level.
Yeah, I think it's so important, like you said, to have that diversity of perspective and thought. And, sports industry like you're in versus there's so many other industries that are very male dominant, construction, financials. Like there's a lot of people that I talk to who are in those similar positions. And it's about, like you said, speaking up, making yourself present, standing in your confidence and really owning who you are, because the men on the other side of the table are going to be respecting you when you start to talk and
Mhm.
bring your perspective. It's not that they don't want you there. I think it's
Right.
just that it hasn't, that's just how it hasn't been, right? And
Exactly.
so now here we are, we're women coming into these spaces knowing what we know about this industry or whatever specific industry you're in, and we're like, okay, we've got something to say here. And they're like, all right, let's hear it.
Absolutely. And I will tell you, and I talked about this when I did my TEDx last year, where it's like I'm not here to bash men. I never have been. I mean, my mentor is my 82-year-old dad, and he's been my mentor my whole life. I mean, I have a son,
Yeah.
I have a husband. I've been married to three men, and I talk about this. I love men. Okay, I love them. And a lot of allies in this space, because men have important women in their lives, so they want to see me succeed. Now, I do see unconscious biases bubble up, especially in sports.
Mm.
And I see it more actually on the fan side than
Oh,
on
interesting.
the business side of it. So that part's been definitely more challenging.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think about it from the fan perspective, but
Yeah,
interesting.
interesting is the right word. There's some that are just out and out of line. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm spoken to in a way, whether it's in person, which has happened, online mainly, that is just not appropriate.
yeah.
And I'm petite too. I'm only 5'2".
Oh my
So, but
gosh.
if there were a man in my role, I would not be treated as such. And
Yeah.
so, unfortunately, I have a lot of instances where, an experience where this has come to play because of my gender.
Mm. Well, let's break that barrier, right?
That's right. That's
I
right.
know.
That's why I talk about it,
Yeah,
because I feel like for me personally, I'm complicit if I don't say anything. And so
true.
that's why I was like, no, I'm going to do these things out loud.
Yeah.
And so whether it's running a hockey team or quitting drinking or whatever I'm doing, I'm going to do it out loud to hopefully inspire other people to not feel shame about anything that they're doing that makes them feel good.
Yeah. How do you balance the hockey team, your own business, speaking, coaching, all of those things? How do you balance that in your life so that you stay sane and you're relevant and
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll talk about some practical things first.
sure.
I have a digital calendar, and to some that's like, well, of course, doesn't everyone? No, that's you'd be shocked to know how many people like still put pencil to paper, anyways, or don't keep a calendar. So my digital calendar, and it's color coded.
Yeah.
So the things that I'm working on, depending on, like, Women In is blue,
Mm,
Mindfulness Elevated, or what was Mindfulness Elevated. My coaching business, which is just now Toni Will, is purple. K Wings is a different color. Anything financials green. Like, so it's color coded, number one. And then number two, the making sure there's some balance is Sundays is a no laptop day for me. And so
nice.
I now, with the exception of hockey season, if we have a home game or if I'm on an airplane. Now, if I'm traveling or at work because of hockey season, and it's a Sunday, then that doesn't hold true. But in the full
Yeah.
off season, every Sunday, I ensure that it's laptop free, and that really does help, because I really commit to that. When I commit to something, I try to achieve those goals, and that was one of my goals. So the other part of it is I have a lot of help, And so I'm not afraid to, I've gotten better over the years about saying, okay, I have a marketing expert that I hired for my business. I hired a social media agency now that's doing my
Yeah.
social media. So I have my assistant that helps on scheduling and the, administrative side. So I have these team members, and I don't try and do it all. And I
Mm.
stink at that stuff anyway. So why don't I hire people who are better than me? So yeah. So that's a long answer, but that's kind of how I keep balanced, and I really love it. I really categorize. I like to share this with people too because I've been coaching clients around this. There's a job, there's a career, and
Mm.
then there's a passion or a calling. And I really feel like my work in hockey is a passion, and then becoming an author was a calling. And
Oh,
so
I love
it,
that.
it's like when things fall, and I've had jobs and I've had careers. I've kind of, but if I can label it, it also helps me determine like where am I going to fit this in? Like working
Yeah.
on the book, it's a calling, so it's really important to me. So I'm going to fit it in somewhere.
Right. Yeah, I love that calling. I never thought of it that way. It's like, oh, so true. You think about passion and purpose and all of those things, but really, truly, like that's like the divine intervention of like you have this burning desire inside of you to do something, whether it's starting a new business or writing a book or becoming a speaker, whatever it is. Those are things that are so important. And like you said, having a team to support you so that you can do those things that are in your zone of genius or that you're passionate about, that's where true visibility comes into play, right? Because you're stepping into your space, while all of the other stuff is still going on in behind the scenes, but it allows you to be truly and fully in that space.
100%. And I'm going to tell you something else. I love a good nap. So, and I am the kind of napper that is like in my bed. I mean, I got the fan on, and I will nap for 2 hours if I can. So I really, it's like a hobby for me. I swear to God. So that helps, so
Yeah,
I could have a second wind later
that's
on.
awesome. Well, one of the things I think that's really like a common thread in what you do is leadership. Like you're a leader on the hockey team, you're a leader with your clients, you're a leader, in your personal life and what you're doing, to be alcohol free. Talk about, are there some leadership pillars that you live by, or that you live by?
Yeah, yeah. So this is something I was asked many years ago when my alma mater, Western Michigan University, called me one day and they said, Toni, will you come speak to one of our classes? And I said, absolutely. What do you want me to talk about? And they were like, how you turn the hockey team around. And I probably was 2 or 3 years into this job. And I'm like, I was in the midst of it, but I certainly would not have called it a turnaround. But I sat down. I mean, we were in a better position, but I wouldn't have bestowed that great compliment on myself or my team at that point. But so I sat down and I said, okay, well, how have I done this? Because this was a lot of unconscious competence, and I didn't have that language back then, but now looking back I'm like, okay, my gut was pulling me, and my experience that I'd worked in banking and economic development had helped. And so I wrote down six items that I felt like I led on, and so I'll share those now.
Yeah,
And this was what I built my TEDx around too, so it can be applied to anything personally or professionally. So, leadership pillar number one, and I just mentioned this when we're talking about my scheduling, is go to the experts.
yeah,
And so I'm not trying to be all things. And women in particular, we tend to think we have to do all the things and know all the answers and be good at everything. And
yeah.
so I stopped subscribing to that magazine and I said, I'm going to go to the experts. So that's number one. Number two is innovate. And so sometimes we call that copying, but I often say innovation because we can just take ideas from other people or places and make it our own and make it
Yeah,
fit for us. And so
absolutely.
that's innovate leadership pillar number two. Number three is a favorite of mine, although it's hard, is make mistakes
Mm.
and celebrate them because mistakes is painful. It's embarrassing. I mean, I still this day, I make myself say when I make a mistake because those I learn from more than my successes.
So true.
And mistakes are, they could range from small to big. And I mean, Lord knows I've made plenty of them. And I think the mistakes truly have shaped who I am, like
Mm.
if I were to zoom out.
100%.
Yeah, yeah. Leadership pillar number four is very personality driven. This is ask for forgiveness rather than permission. I'm very much a rebel. So I'd rather just go try something and see if it works. And then if I get in trouble, and I haven't gotten in trouble much, once in a while they'll be like, Toni, what are you doing? I'm like, trust me on this. And 9 times out of 10, it works, but I've had some stinkers. So I don't, so what that really does mean besides personality is I don't get hung up on decision making.
Mm,
I just test it. I treat things like an experiment. I'm not analyzing the death out of things.
yeah.
Leadership pillar number 5 is macromanage. This definitely speaks to the culture of my team. Nobody likes to be micromanaged.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do I hold things loosely? And the way I do that is instilling trust. And
Mm,
so the 3 most powerful words I say to my staff almost every day is, I trust you.
yeah.
So go and do. And if you need me, I'm here, but I trust you to make the decisions that are going to be best for you and our team and this for this community.
Yeah.
And then finally, leadership pillar number 6 is have fun. It's I mean, it's
We
so
forget
basic.
about that.
We do. I read this stat recently that talked about kids, I think under the age of 7, they laugh 300 to 400 times a day. Any guess on what adults do? How many times a day we laugh?
10.
You nailed it. On average, 10 times a day. As a kid, 300, 400. As an adult, maybe 10. How sad is that? Like, we
That
need
is
to
so
have fun.
sad. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I I think I'm the outlier in that statistic. I laugh all the time.
Well, that's great because you're having fun, you're enjoying what you're doing. And so I really am, that's part of the culture that we have here and that I've built and even at home. So we
Yeah.
have a lot of fun and laugh a lot.
I love that. I mean, that leadership, those pillars are so dynamic and so amazing. It's so integral, right? You have to, like you said, you can apply those to anything. It can be personal, it can be business, it can be, a project that you're working on, all of those things. But I think ultimately, putting all of those together builds confidence and momentum, because you put all the pieces together and then everything seems to work and it starts to move. It's almost like that machine, you kind of get going. And so it's like, you've got to have those foundations, and I love that as a foundation piece for anything that you're doing.
Yeah,
I
I
think
took those 6 leadership pillars and I applied it to when I started working here 11 years ago in pro
yeah.
hockey. And then when I wanted to quit drinking, I took them right over there and applied them there. I mean, literally, you can do it in any facet of your life.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about your podcast because I know that you have interviewed like somewhere over 100 people. What are some of the common threads or conversations or stories that you hear from your podcast?
Yeah, so Women in dot 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 is the name of my podcast, and I named it that way by design. I was coming off a conference for at the National Sports Forum. I sit on the steering committee. I've been working really hard to have women on the stage, and through my efforts, and not it's not just one person. There are several, but they were like, Toni, we'd like you to moderate the first ever in 40 years of this conference, all woman super panel in front of 1,000 people. So it was a huge honor and like a moment for women in sports. So
Yeah.
I came home and I don't know, a day or two later, I'm walking my dog and I'm like, I want to continue to tell these stories.
Mm.
And so I'm like, oh, I could start a podcast. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do a podcast, but I'm like, but I was so passionate about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So what do? I go to the experts and I'm like, I know someone that can help me produce this podcast. So I do have a podcast production team too.
Yeah.
And I said, here's my idea. And I took women in sports and I took the sports out and I put the dots because I wanted it to be inclusive of everything and everyone. And
Yeah.
that meant men and women and no matter the identity. And then they can fill in those dots for who they are. And
Yeah.
so I've interviewed, I think to date, over 130 people. It's a lot
Wow.
in 18 months.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I
Um,
can relate.
yeah. But I love it. And so
Yeah.
the common threads that come up, let's see. Well, one of the things we talk about is who are the women that, and you're going to get this when you come on my podcast, so you can prep for this question, but who are the women in your life that helped you become the person that sits before me today?
Mm.
And so we're able to talk about these women that had a partner life. And most people have answers, but some don't. Some are like, I
Yeah.
didn't have women. And that's okay because it just shows the variety of our stories and our experiences. And so that comes up a lot. what else? And a lot of our conversation is around like whoever I'm interviewing, what they do for a living, what they're passionate about, what brought them into the space. Does gender play a role even in what
Yeah.
you do for work? Or, I mean, I've had so many interesting guests on. Every time it's something new, so
Yeah.
it's fun.
That's awesome. I can't wait to be a guest on the show. And yeah, it's going to be so fun. I think podcasting, I always say podcasting is my favorite visibility tool, right? Because there's so many tools out there and so many ways of looking at visibility. And for me, podcasting is so amazing because of so many things, right? The connection that you get to make with the guest, the stories that we get to share, the lessons that you learn, the thought leadership that you can build. There's just, it goes on and on and on and on. What would you say is your favorite visibility tool out of all the things that you've done? Speaking, books, well, book
Oh,
to
a
come.
book, yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite right now, I would probably, it's a tie. I do love public speaking. I love connecting with people in the room,
Yeah.
and I love inspiring them to achieve whatever goal or, relate to them.
Yeah.
Relator is one of my strengths, Gallup Strength Finders, and I just it fills my cup so much to be in the room. So I enjoy speaking. Podcasting is, I mean, it's a darn close second because I get to meet the coolest people, and I get to have conversations with people like you, and we would have never met had
Yeah.
it not been for this medium. So I would say those two, speaking in person, and I don't mind virtual too, but I
Yeah.
like more being in the room, and then podcasting.
Yeah. I love that. I haven't dove into the public speaking yet, but it is definitely on my bucket list.
Yeah. TEDx will throw you in if you do that. I mean, that's
I've
next
heard.
level. That's
Yeah.
next
Oh
level.
yeah. Because
So,
TEDx it has to be memorized, right?
correct. It depends on who's putting it on, but so when I did it, they had the option if you wanted a prompter, but at that stage, I was like, if I'm doing this, I'm doing it all in, and so I had my whole thing memorized.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
It was
amazing.
hard. It was
Yeah,
hard, but it was so like anything hard. It was rewarding.
absolutely. So, for the women listening who feel like they're successful on paper, but they still feel kind of stuck or ready for a change, what would be your advice for them to the first step for them to take? Maybe something to disrupt the norm for what they're doing.
So my first thing is going to be a little more practical, and then more I don't know, cost effective, not cost effective, but invest in oneself. So
Yeah,
um number one is talk about it.
love that.
So, like just say it. A lot of times we like overthink these things. It's like just say it to someone. I don't know if it's like a friend or your significant other or I don't know, whoever, but just say it out loud. Um, give it a little bit of airtime
Yeah.
because it can feel different once it's out of your mouth. The second thing I would say, and I think this is, and not just because I'm a coach, I say this because great coaches have coaches. I encourage women to invest in a coach.
Mm.
There are so many different coaches out there now, and they specialize. Like, you could have a menopause coach if you want. You could have, I
Yes.
mean, there are all kinds of coaches. I'm a lifestyle coach, but I also do professional development coaching because of I've changed careers 3 times and started my own business and all that stuff. So I do both. But for a while there, I was just doing lifestyle. So women who and men who wanted to quit drinking, and that's what I focused on. So
Yeah.
I encourage women to get a coach. Try
Yeah.
it for 3 months, once a week, get 12 sessions, and see what happens.
Yeah. There's something different that happens when you, like you said, first of all, speaking it out loud. And that ties into the coaching side of things too. Like sometimes when you just talk things through with somebody else who can reflect it back to you and advise you and help you shift in a certain way, you'd be surprised what the impact and the shift and difference that you can make when you invest in yourself
Yes.
and invest in coaching for yourself.
100%. And one of the questions I get is, well, Tony, I have a therapist, which is great, but coaching and therapy is different. Coaching, I
Totally.
say, is looking through the windshield. Therapy is looking through the rearview mirror.
Mm,
And so having both is a great team. Like you're starting to build your board of directors.
yeah.
Uh, And yeah, coaching is really, it's more like cheering you on to and kind of holding you accountable as much as you want to be
Yeah.
to achieving those goals. Because a lot of questions I get asked are how do you achieve the goals that you do? And um, part of it's personality, but part of it is having great coaches and being held
Hmm.
accountable.
Yeah. Well, it seems almost natural for you to be a coach, lifestyle coach, professional development coach, and working in the sports industry, right? Like it's almost like, yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Well, and I always have to clarify when I say coach because I work for a pro hockey team. I'm like, no, 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 I don't coach the players. No, you
Yeah.
would not want me doing that. No, sir. So,
Oh goodness. Well, Toni, it's been so fun talking to you, and thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise, and just having a great conversation for these women listeners to hear. And I'd love for you to share how people can learn more about you, get in touch with you. Yeah, all the things.
yeah. So I am my website, toniwill.com. It has all the things related to everything we talked about today. I do have a conference coming up called Empower Her, which I mentioned. It's March 13th and 14th here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. All the details are on my website. And then I'm on social media. I have a team now that handles a lot of the stuff, but Toni Will Official is where you can find me on all the platforms. And I would love to have you check out what I'm doing. And when if you message me, I respond back to my own stuff. Like I am a responder, and I love to connect with people. So if you message me, you'll hear back from me.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being a guest. It has been truly a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, Tori. And we'll see you on Women In.
Yeah.